nearlydanish.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's get ready to rumble!
All right, so we're focusing on Danish values. Okay, so Danish values questions. The key to the Danish values questions is this, right? You need to, when you're looking at the Danish values question, a lot of people want to focus on the question itself or on the detail of the question. Remember that the question is about a Danish value, okay? So don't get caught up in the details of the question. It's either a yes or a no, okay? So when you're looking at the Danish values question, you should ask yourself a question. What is this question about? Okay? Tonight's session is going to test your ability to figure out what the questions are about. Not necessarily trying for you to figure out the correct answer. I'm testing your ability to figure out what the question is about. Okay? So pay attention to this, because this is how you prepare yourself for every single type of question that they're going to throw at you. I know some people want me to come up with like thousands of different questions, but that's a waste of time. What you should try and do is figure out what the question is about, so you can, when you're looking at the question, you can kind of decode it. All right, enough talk. Moving on to the next one. So what is this question about? Read the question. What is it about? You're going to see the options. Okay, I can see that, oh, by the way, bear in mind, the Danish values questions are the last 5 questions of the test. There are a total of 45 questions, okay? Now, if you fail more than one of these questions, you will fail the test. So people are saying, so Adi Claudio is saying, I was expecting yes or no. You didn't listen to my explanation. Listen to what I'm saying, okay? I am testing your ability to understand what the question is about. So in actual fact, these things, these are the values, okay? So what this, the answer to this question is yes. And in essence, it's saying that one of the values in Denmark is low corruption. Okay, so I'm trying to see if you can figure out what the value is from the question. So I'm testing that today, because that is how you should approach these questions. When you look at a question, you figure out, okay, what is this question about? Don't get focused on, you know, it's asking about corruption in the public sector. It could ask about corruption in anything, but what's the question about? And you're probably going to see another question about corruption. Anyways, for the how many people got this wrong? 33 people got this wrong. Well, it's best to make the mistakes here and not make them in the test. Remember, if you fail more than one of these questions, you fail the whole test. Okay, so.
Now you know what you don't know.
All right, next one. Why are the answers in English? Yeah, because I wanted them in English. Anyways, on to the next one. All right. So we've seen low corruption one time, and now we've seen freedom of speech a second time. Okay? Sorry, one time as well. So in essence, what the government is actually trying to express with these questions is, do you know our values? Do you know Danish values? Okay? And the way they test that is they ask you a question. So in Denmark, there is no censorship, even in the press. So freedom of speech is highly valued. All right. I hope this is making sense. If it's not making sense, just go ahead and, ask me in the chat. Some people are asking, why are the answers in English? This is not how the test is. What I'm testing here is, can you figure out what the value is from the question? Okay? All right. On to the next one. Okay, so we've seen low corruption, we've seen freedom of speech, one time each. All right, someone is saying they can't. Okay, so I posted the code to Kahoot. All right. So the theme of this question is crimes against the state. That's what the question is about. Okay. Now, this question is basically saying, in Denmark, we do not value crimes against the state. You cannot commit a crime against the minister and expect to go free in Denmark. You will get thrown in jail, possibly for life. Okay? I hope this is all making sense. So now we've seen low corruption as a value, freedom of speech as a value, and crimes against the state as a negative, something that is not valued. Okay? All right, moving on to the next one. We've got Tosia, Crisona, Adi, Claudia, Moonstone, Matt, and Raja. 133 players have reached an answer streak of 3. Well done.
Excellent.
Next one. All right. Crime against the state again. So we see this again. So this is the second time. By the way, all these questions are questions that have appeared in all the previous tests. So there have been 5 tests with 5 questions each. So there's 25 questions tonight. Okay? And what we're doing is we're beginning to see that, for instance, this question is about crimes against the state. The previous question was about crimes against the state. So as long as you can actually pinpoint the theme of the question, then you can figure out what the answer is easily. The answer is either yes or no. Okay? Of course, read the question slowly, make sure you understand it, try and figure out the theme, and then the theme will lead you to the answer. All right. So this is the second time we've seen crimes against the state. All right, we're going to move on to the next one. Read it slowly. All right. So the theme of this is child protection, okay? In essence, one of the values in Denmark is child protection. Denmark is a liberal state, and it believes in equality for all its citizens and protection for all its citizens. Okay? So now we've seen child protection one time. We'll move on to the next one. We've got Crisona, Tosia, Ola, Adiclodio, and Roger. This one tripped people up. All right, round of applause. So the answer to this, right? Okay, so this showed up in November 2023, and a lot of people got kind of tripped up by this, right? And the answer to this is obviously no. You can't say, according to Danish law, it doesn't say that you can't speak, you cannot criticize an individual's religion. It's allowed. Obviously, there might be consequences that you don't like, but because there's freedom of speech, you can do that. Okay. What's just because there's a religious in question, it doesn't mean it's religious. What do you mean? Okay, so someone says, last exam I failed because of this question. Exactly. Okay. And it's because, okay, let me see if I can slow this down a bit. Don't get caught up in the question, in the details of the question. Okay, so some people actually say, oh, I know in the public you can't do it, but in private you might be able to do it, and maybe. So you get caught up in the detail of the question. Don't do that. Try and figure out, what is this question about? This question is actually about freedom of speech. And once you understand that, okay, then you read the question. What is it asking? Because it could be framed in many different ways, right? What is it asking? And then it will lead you directly to the answer. Don't try and say, oh, you know, it's not like asking a question like, when did Denmark join the United Nations? The answer to that is 1945. Okay, this is more like you have to think above the question and then let that lead you to the answer. All right, moving on to the next one. So we've seen freedom of speech. This is the second time. Okay, we've seen crimes against the state 2 times, freedom of speech 1 time, child protection 1 time, and low corruption 1 time so far. Now, I'm saying this because there's only a handful of these values. There's about 8 to 9 of them. Okay? And there could be like an infinite number of questions about those 8 to 9 values. And that's the trick to this thing. All right, moving on. Next one. Aha! Let's see if you guys can figure out this one. Okay, I remember the first time I saw this question. I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, I don't know the answer to this question. But then I had to stop myself. I was like, okay, this is a Danish values question. And it's a question about the church in Denmark. And I know that Denmark values gender equality. So the answer has to be yes. Or who can, so the options were, the question is, who can be a bishop in the Danish Dansk Folkekirken, right? The options were just men, just women, or both men and women? Once I understood what the question was about, it led me straight to the answer. So this question is about gender equality, but in the context of the church. We will come across like 2-3 other gender equality questions. So far we have low corruption 1 time, freedom of speech 2 times, crimes against the state 2 times, child protection 1 time, and gender equality 1 time. Okay, we still have about 19 questions to go. So let's see. So far, so good. You guys are doing well. Next one. Okay, hopefully we get an explosion on this. I can't believe that people actually got this wrong. This is exactly the same question as the previous one, asked in a different way. Okay, and this is, you see, this is the reason why I'm doing this session. Because you could get like stuck in the question. It's the same question. The other one was, who can be a bishop? This one is, can women be bishops in the Danish People's Church, Dansk Folkekirken? Okay, of course the answer is yes. Why? Why is the answer yes? Because because Denmark values gender equality. Okay, so this is the second time we've seen gender equality, and you're going to see gender equality way more than 1 time. Okay, and actually this is one of, I don't know if you remember, for the people that have been coming, the most frequently asked question in INDFØDSRETSPRØVEN is actually about gender equality, so the right for women to vote. So that's actually one of the highest values in Denmark, gender equality. All right, on to the next one. Persona, I'll answer your question later, okay? Just remind me later. Ask that question later. Right now, we're focused on this. The question is, can you sleep with someone that's under the age of 15, even if they give you consent? Right? That's the question. And of course, the answer is no. But what is this question about? Someone that's 15 years or younger is considered a minor, a child in Denmark, which is the reason why this question is about child protection. Now, if you understood that, then it will lead you to the answer. Okay? I can see that, well, some people are not getting it yet, but hopefully you get it by the end of this. And if you don't, there will be a video where you can watch it and pay close attention to what I'm saying, okay? All right, moving on to the next one. We have Crisona, Ola, Adi Claudio, Painful, and Tosia. I recognize all these names except Painful. Round of applause to you guys. We have 17 questions to go. All right. So the question is, can your parents, according to Danish law, can your parents decide who you should be a boyfriend or girlfriend with? And the answer is no, but the question is why? Why is it no? It's no because in this case, your parents are deciding for you, right? But in Denmark, you should decide for yourself because you have freedom of choice. It's one of the values. So one of the general value is freedom. You have freedom in Denmark, freedom of choice, freedom of speech. The press also has freedom to write whatever they think is necessary to write in the press, and so on and so forth. Okay, of course, these things have consequences, but that's not what we're discussing tonight. So far we've seen low corruption 1 time, freedom of speech 2 times, freedom of choice 1 time, crimes against the state 2 times, child protection 2 times, gender equality 2 times, I think. We still have about 16 questions to go. So someone is asking, is freedom of choice applicable for age above 18 or by age 18, you're an adult, right? So 18 years are up to the age of freedom of choice in their own matters. By age 18, you're an adult. So you can do whatever you want. It's up to you. Anyways, we're going to come across another question like this in a more extreme case, actually. Next one. This one is a no-brainer. This one is about child protection. So this was one of the first Danish values questions, and it's asking about, is it legal to for a minor to get married? A minor meaning someone under the age of 15 and younger. It's illegal. So by law, for you to get married in this country, you have to be 18 or above. So once you understand that this is about child protection, it'll lead you to the right answer. All right, next one. Yeah. Some people are complaining about the speed. Like I said, right? On the day of the test, it's got nothing to do with speed. It's got everything to do with accuracy. Okay? You have 1 minute per question. Take your time. Read the question slowly. Make sure you understand it. Read the answer slowly, and then you go ahead and answer. Okay? Don't be in a hurry. All right. Next one. All right, so this is a gender equality question. And it's gender equality within the context of swimming pools. It's asking, according to Danish law, can you require that swimming pools have separate opening times for men and women? The answer is no. But why is it no? Because in Denmark, there is gender equality. Now, this same exact question has been asked twice. This is the first time the question has been, is that you're going to see the question tonight. Hopefully the second time you see it, we're not going to have people answering wrong. That's why you have this little one here in the brackets. All right, next one. You've seen a similar question to this before this evening already. All right, so so far we've seen 13 questions, but those 13 questions have been about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. So I hope you're beginning to actually get the gist. Okay, so I've counted 8 values so far that I've been able to pinpoint from the questions that have been asked from the last 5 tests. There's 8 of them. And out of 8 of those values, 25 questions have been born. Okay, so there's only a handful of values, and there could be an infinite number of questions asked. All right, more people got this right. I was hoping that no one was going to get this wrong, but at least it's better than the last time, so round of applause. Please, everybody asking me questions about things that are not related to Danish values, I'm not going to be answering your questions. We can talk about that at the end of the session. All right, next one. The answer to this is in the question. The answer was in the question. Okay? The question is about gender equality. This is in the context of schools. So the first time we saw it was in the context of the church. We saw that twice. Okay? Then we saw it in the context of swimming pools. Now we've seen it in the context of schools. Okay? So, and exactly, now you're getting it, right? We've still got, how many questions to go now? 12. Okay, at the moment we've got Persona, Painful, Ola, Tosia, and KKR. Next one. This should be a no-brainer because the answer is actually in the question. All right. Of course, this is crimes against the question is about crimes against the state. And crimes against the state is something that Denmark does not value. And you will be punished for it. Okay? I don't know. Is this making any kind of sense? You guys give me some kind of feedback with like, thumbs up in the chat or something. I don't know. But is this making sense? Okay. All right. Okay, some people got this wrong. The question is about forcing someone to get married. Of course, you cannot force someone to get married. Not according to Danish law. Okay? And the question is about freedom. The theme of the question is freedom of speech. In this case, it's about marriage, a forced marriage. All right. A lot of people got this wrong. Some people said it's domestic violence. No, it's not. Well,
Now you know what you don't know.
of course, as usual, there will be a quiz about this on your profile. I will be publishing this once this session is done. And you can go there and practice. But like I said, the key here is to understand what these values are, and not so much the question that is gonna show up, right? Okay, moving on to the next one. All right, so basically it's saying, according to Danish law, you're allowed to marry more than one person at a time. Basically, it's asking about polygamy. In Denmark, polygamy is illegal. But that's in contrast to, say, Islam, where in Islam, you're allowed to have up to 4 wives. A man is allowed to have up to 4 wives. So that's a contrast between Islam and Danish law, okay? That's why you see here, this question is about the contrast with religious tradition. We're going to come across this again at some point. Moving on to the next one. All right, I hope you're now beginning to see the pattern in these questions. These are all questions that have shown up before. Now, this, I don't understand how come some people are still getting this wrong. This exact same question actually showed up, almost the exact thing, right? And the answer is in the question. Okay, now, so far we've come across gender equality questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So out of 25 questions, 5 of them have been about gender equality. That just goes to show you how much Denmark values gender equality. Okay, we're moving on to the next one. Okay, this one threw people for a loop. It was hard for me to categorize this, but I'll explain. All right, so this is crimes against the state. It was hard for me to actually categorize this because they were asking which authority has can basically dissolve a forening, and especially if the forening chooses to achieve its goals through violence. Now, when I saw this, and obviously, not obviously, the options were the police or the courts. I knew what the answer was, but I was trying to figure out what's the thinking behind this. And then I remembered, okay, so I'm about to show you guys a slide here. 45 people got this wrong, 129 people got this right. Round of applause to the people who got this right. I remembered this. Sorry, this. This question was from Current Affairs 2021. Can't remember if it was November. Yeah, it was November 2021. And in November 2021, the Supreme Court, Højesteret, had just dissolved the forening called Loyal to Familia. Okay? So now this, you can, you see the reason why I say practice, 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 practice. because all these things are connected. Okay? So where you might get stuck somewhere because you get confused, okay, what's the right answer? If you had practiced and you remember that you came across this specific question before, it would lead you to the right answer. It's not the police that dissolves verenigings, it's the courts. In this case, the Supreme Court. And actually, I saw some news articles about they're trying to do the same thing to a verening called Bandidos or something like that. Anyways, on to the next one. All right, I hope you guys get this right. Let's get an explosion, just once. Okay, we were very, very close to an explosion, but you can see now it's also about gender equality. Now, let me go down the list. Gender equality has shown up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, okay? Child protection has shown up 3 times, crimes against the state 2 times, sorry, 3 times, freedom of choice, I think 2 or 3 times, freedom of speech twice, low corruption once. So what is this telling us? Okay, now you combine the number of times questions about gender equality have shown up in Danish values. You combine the number of times that basically the most frequently asked question in INDFØDSRETSPRØVEN is a question about gender equality. So Denmark's #1 value is gender equality. And then there's the others. And you'll see them, and basically all these answer options, these are the values. Okay? All right. We have 5 questions to go. Hopefully we get an explosion at some point. Next one. All right, this is contrast with religious tradition, okay? So it's according to Danish law, can one require that meat served in daycare centers be killed a certain way? So in Islam, you have halal. In Judaism, you have kosher. And that's, you have to kill the animal a certain way. I think you have to let it bleed out or something before it's suitable for eating. However, according to Danish law, that is not required. And that is a contrast. Okay? I hope this is making sense. 5 people got this wrong. 170 people got this right. So I believe we are getting somewhere. So round of applause to you guys. All right, we're moving on to the next one. We have Cresona, Tosia, Painful, KKR, and DI. Next one. All right, so the answer to this is liberalism, right? Denmark is a liberal country. So the definition of liberalism is, I found some definition on Google, but it includes the individual's right to choose. And they clearly specified here, the person is 18. So that's an adult. So the adult can choose to change their gender and get a new CPR number for the new gender. in Denmark. Okay, so this falls under freedom of choice, but the overarching thing here is liberalism. Okay, 7 people got this wrong. This shows up just one time, but if you look at it as freedom of choice, then it shows up, I think that's shown up like 3 times. But anyways, for the people that got this wrong,
Now you know what you don't know.
yes, so freedom of choice is within liberalism. All right, on to the next one. All right, hopefully you all get this right. All right, 5 people got this wrong. Actually, this question is almost the definition of liberalism, right? So in Denmark, individuals have political freedom and also individual rights. And basically, it's freedom in general. It's not, this isn't focusing on a type of freedom. So there's been freedom of speech, where they're asking about, can you criticize someone else's religion? There's been freedom of choice, where it says where you can choose your spouse, you can choose your gender, you can choose, all these different things. In this case, the overarching thing is freedom, because Denmark is a liberal country. All right. We've got 2 more questions and we're done for tonight. Okay. Persona, Painful, Tosia, KKR on DI. Baltic Thunder is making a comeback with 3 in a row.
Oh my! He's on fire!
2 more and we're done. Right, so this is about domestic violence. It's not freedom of choice, man. It's domestic violence. You're not allowed to hit your spouse, regardless of whether they are a man or a woman. Okay, so if you're a woman, you're not allowed to hit your husband. If you're a man, you're not allowed to hit your wife. All right, we got the last question and we're done. Paul is making a comeback with 3 in a row.
Excellent.
Next one. All right, crimes against the state. There's not much to be said here. Let's talk about human trafficking. All right, that was it. I hope that made sense. Let me answer some of the questions. So if you have some other questions about something that wasn't related, please ask now before I go to the podium. So someone asked about explaining the changes in the book. Look, don't worry about that, man. The changes have been made. The quizzes cover those changes. So just focus on doing the quizzes, okay? What else? Someone was asking me about a party. What party? I don't know what you mean. But anyways, since there's no questions, podium time. Painful at number 3. Yes, we're gonna have a full session on current affairs. Tosia at number 2. And Chrisona at number 1. We have KKR and BI at number 4 and 5.
nearlydanish.com.